Alan Westlake, welcome to Gunroom.tv.
Thank
you so much for coming to see us, obviously. Now, anybody who knows anything about shooting, LBPs, revolvers, etc., your name, Westlake, is famous within the industry. Okay.
Thanks for your kind words.
Well, why so? Thank you. You gracing us here, honestly, I mean this. It is an absolute pleasure. You are an absolute legend, and to have you sat in these chairs and having some time with you to just talk things through it's going to be priceless.
Well, now you're starting to embarrass me.
No, well, take it on the chin, all right?
Yeah.
I think most important part is I would love to find out, how did you get into this, and where did this creation all start from? And obviously I know we're going to have a look at something in a minute, but I would love to, if you can, understand where this baby came from and the story and the journey that it's come on. Can you take us through it, if that's possible, please?
Right, well, I was in the army.
You were, yeah.
And I started pistol shooting. Got into the national squad, and then in '85 I left the army, opened a garage, gave up competitive shooting because concentrating on the business.
Yeah.
Prior to my leaving the army, I had a slight involvement with Britarms.
Right, yeah.
That made the 22 and the 32 pistols. And I found, after I'd left the army in '85, that they'd actually gone bust and ceased trading. I asked a friend of mine whether he was interested in buying a business, a gun firm.
This was a very good friend of yours, wasn't it?
Yes, he was
very good
American,
friend.
American.
A wealthy American, should we say?
Well, yes, he was. He was also one of their national coaches for the rapid fire. So that's how we got involved.
Right, so that makes sense, yeah.
I said to him, "Do you want to buy the firm?" He said, "Oh no, I can't. I don't want to get involved. Why don't you buy it?" I haven't got any money.
That's the story of most businesses, isn't it?
That's right. We'll get it from the bank.
Right.
So we priced up all the goods from Britarms, offered them a sum for it. They accepted. They also accepted that we paid them a third with two notes. Went to the bank, borrowed the third. In the first year, we put together the stock, because there was loads of stock.
Yeah, it would be, yeah.
Which paid off for the first payment back.
Yeah.
And then again on the second year, and so it went on. Now, when Rachel, my daughter, left school, she joined me, and at that time I had a garage, and the office had been secured up as an armoury and a gun workshop. So she was at the top of the garage, fettling Britarms pistols, putting them together, and I was at the other end of the garage mending people's motorcycles.
Yeah.
And that's how we progressed until about 1989,
right,
when the bottom fell out of the classic car market, and I was into restorations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I moved to Salisbury and opened up a workshop in my own home, because then I'm not paying rent.
Very good financial decision.
So we then progressed in Salisbury, carrying on making the guns until '97.
Right.
In '97, of course, we had the Dunblane massacre.
Yeah.
And the politicians all jumped on the bandwagon, and eventually we lost the short barrel short firearm.
Sad day, very sad day.
The Sportsmen's Association was formed up during the Trafalgar meeting of that year.
Right.
And I was volunteered onto the committee. Now, Albie Fox headed that at that time, and he was organising the resistance. So I spent 6 months organising the Sportsmen's Association and the marches in London to try to get the ban stopped.
Yeah.
Didn't work. So anyway, we lost it. We lost the guns.
Yeah.
They took all my trade goods, and of course it was 12 months before they started to progress the claim. So in that time, I couldn't start another business. So I then trickled on doing kit cars for people.
Yeah.
And eventually I started getting money back from the government for all the stuff they'd taken away. And I started to build single shot muzzle loading pistols.
Right.
And then I decided that I actually didn't like black powder very much.
You're
Crack all over your hands, you know. So I thought, well, why not convert muzzle loading revolvers to shoot nitro powder? So I developed a cylinder which would go into a Remington Army.
Right.
So you could shoot it a 2-part cylinder. The front part takes the ball and the powder, and the back end, in the back of the front section is shotgun primers, and then a cap goes on the back with 6 firing pins. Plug it in the gun, and you're away, and you don't have to scrub it in hot water when you finish shooting. So that progressed, and then of course the NSRA developed the Marini long barrel pistol.
Right. Okay.
And they took the Surrey police to court because they wouldn't give one of their guys a firearms certificate. So they won.
Okay.
So now we were able to have a long barrel pistol. So I thought to myself, well, I've got all these Britarms bits, I'll make a Britarms pistol. So I made a 5-shot Britarms pistol, which Wiltshire put onto my certificate.
Yeah.
When I sent my ticket up for them to enter it on, I asked the Home Office what designation they want put on these guns, so that we all know what we're actually talking about. Home Office came back, we think it's Section 5. They wouldn't tell me why.
Right.
So eventually they got to the stage when they said, well, only a judge can decide.
Okay.
So went to Wiltshire, revoked my cylinder, take it off my licence. Can't do that. Section 1. You take it to court. Yeah. We'd lose. Yeah. We're not going to do it.
No way.
So I've got a gun on the ticket on the FAC, and I can't sell it. So I wrote to every chief constable in the country and asked them whether they would put one onto an FAC of one in their county.
Right.
Looking for one to sue.
Go on, one of you, please. One of you, go on, please.
Anyway, ACCO got involved, and eventually they decided that it was a Section 1.
Good.
And so I could make it. So I made a few.
Yeah.
But they were expensive. And buckmark rifles became available in the UK once more. And if you can convert a buckmark rifle into a long pistol at half the price of a Britarms long barrel pistol, it's a no-brainer. It's what you do, isn't it?
Well, yes.
Because you get more people out there shooting.
Yep.
And the more people there are shooting, the less likely they are to say, oh, we can't have them, we'll take them away.
Right.
So we progressed then with the buckmark long barrel pistol. And other dealers were also making them. Well, I wasn't the only guy making them. It's not rocket science to convert them. So there were lots of people doing it.
Right.
And eventually, of course, a guy called Gareth Murphy, I think he was the one who persuaded Taurus to make a long barrel revolver. And that was legal because it had a wrist base on the back with a 12-inch barrel. So now we had the 2.2, the Marini free pistol, and the Taurus revolver, and people were actually shooting pistol again.
Bringing it back, yeah.
Now, I was still converting black powder guns, and I thought to myself, this is a bit daft, because you've got a Taurus, which has got the support at the back of the cylinder for the shotgun primer. Why not make a Taurus into a muzzle loader?
Right.
Because you can't do it with a black powder gun, because you've got a blooming great hole in the frame for the hammer to come through, and there's nothing to support the primers, so you have to have 2 parts of the cylinder.
Okay.
So I produced then the Taurus muzzle loading revolver. So you make a cylinder for it, chop off the barrel, refit the front side, chop off that stupid thing on the coat hanger on the back, and you've then got a reason.
Hey, coat hangers are quite good at the moment. We have no option but to have coat hangers, don't we, Alan?
Well, actually, you say that, but if you've ever had a Taurus with a coat hanger,
yeah.
and then you had it altered to a straight balance rod with a weight, you would know the difference.
I must be. I've shot a Taurus, and it is the coat hanger, and then you've got like things meant to capture your forearm as well. Never lines up in the right place. It is uncomfortable as anything, but it meets the legal requirements, doesn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
But by the same token, if you have that coat hanger replaced by a straight balance rod with a weight on it,
do you know, you almost sound like an engineer.
Well, you see, the point is, the balance of the gun, it's got a long barrel.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
So you need a coat hanger to take the weight.
Yeah.
But every time you fire it, that coat hanger comes back to a different spot, so it's not lined up. But you put a balance rod on it with a rake, it goes tick, and of course you can modify the weights to give you the feel that you want. So anyway, that's an aside. So we've now got.
That's going to be another interview completely by itself, isn't it? I can see this one.
Another story. So I was making the long barrel revolver, and then of course I couldn't get revolvers because Gareth couldn't get hold of them.
Yeah.
I contacted Taurus and said, will you sell me the frames or the guns without cylinders?
Yeah.
Because if I don't have a complete gun, and it's never been a complete gun, it's not section 5, so I could buy the 6-inch barrel Taurus and just put a cylinder in.
Yeah.
No. You wouldn't have enough for us, we wouldn't bother with you. So I waved 2 fingers at Taurus and I went to the Philippines and spoke to Arms Corps.
Right.
And they made some Arms Corps revolvers for me, and they produced them as muzzle loaders.
Right.
Unfortunately, their quality wasn't up to what I would really.
You were hoping to, yeah.
I mean, there are a number of them out there which people are using, and they're having great fun with them, but they're not as good as they could be.
Right. Okay.
But Alpha, of course, I liaised with Terry Geary, who's the Alpha importer, and we arranged that Alpha would supply us with the frames
right.
that have been pulled, or the guns which have been pulled from the assembly line before the cylinders fitted, and I would get them and convert them to muzzle loaders, and that's what I'm doing now.
Fantastic.
So, of course, we've got those in various barrel lengths and sports versions. So that's a good array of opportunities for people to have what they want for themselves.
It's about choice as well, isn't it?
Yes, that is.
Totally. Yeah.
Now, on the day that I was sat in front of my television, watching the television, and the news said Brexit's won, I said to me, right, that's it. I'm going to build the Britarms revolver, which has been revolving in my brain for some months.
It's been sitting there ticking away, hasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it. Because if a country's going to survive, it's got to sell widgets.
Widgets are always king.
Right? Unless somebody makes a widget and sells it, nothing actually happens. It all goes around relying on somebody making widgets.
Yeah.
Right? So that's our widget.
So, do you want to grab a widget and now show us if that's all right, please, Alan? Now, obviously, the Britarms everybody knows. They know the name. They now obviously have seen it, but the reputation you have for your revolvers are astounding. And there it is. Yeah. Now, so this has all come from all of the years of your engineering. This is now.
Well, yeah, it's sort of.
How would you describe this? Is this the Holy Grail at the moment for you? Is this what you've always been striving to achieve now?
No, not really. This is a
natural God, so what's going to be your next one then?
I don't know. I don't know. See, when you think of this started life as a Remington Army cylinder converted for nitro.
Yeah.
And it's progressed then through all the various combinations, and then, of course, if you've got a gun with a revolver with a cylinder that you have to take off to load, then why do you need a frame like you've got on the Alpha or the Smith? So why not just have it a hole in the frame that will fit in, and then eventually, when you get it right,
You are aware the clock's ticking at this
Well,
moment,
yeah,
aren't you?
I
The
know,
competition
it's
is running.
Bear in mind that this is a prototype and it's not perfect yet. So there you go, that's in there now.
That's brilliant.
So you don't need a crane which comes out, which makes it cheaper to make.
Okay.
Now, I liaise with a guy, Robert Nibbs, who makes Gemini stocks, and he's got a magic milling machine which will all singing, all dancing.
Magic milling
program.
machine. You do know somebody's going to patent that idea now, that name.
Well, the CNC machines these days.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal, aren't
Yeah.
they? And he does the metal work. I produce the design drawings. He converts it into stuff that the machines can read.
Yeah.
And then he makes the frame, and he will be making the components for me.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff will be going out to specialist turners. Some of it will be going out for wire cutting and other bits and bobs. So it will all be built in Britain. That's the point.
Proud to be British.
Yeah.
All of that. Yeah.
And so it's going to be reasonably expensive.
Okay.
Because of that. And because it's going to be expensive, a lot of people will say, no, I can't afford it. Or I'm not going to pay that for a gun, Well, okay, that's fine. We will make a batch.
You've met some pistol shooters then?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I mustn't be rude about pistol shooters, but they do like value for money.
Yeah.
Now, we will make a batch of these.
Yeah.
And they will be at a price that it costs us to make them plus a bit of profit. And if the guys don't want to pay that price, we won't make them.
Yeah.
It's quite that simple. If you can't make stuff that people want to buy,
but I think
this is
the hard part you get here, though, Alan, is that when I'm quite happy to beat my drum on Brexit. Britain was Great Britain before.
Yeah.
We were an engineering country. We had some of the most amazing names and brands which they all started as British, and you know that just as well as I do. Britarms obviously is very much English.
Yeah.
You have now taken this and putting it back to what we are great at, and that's why I say Great Britain.
Yeah.
I think that it is fascinating that you're coming out with this, because this is where people's passion is. It's going back to basics, isn't it?
It is. And the thing is that from the countryside of it, I've got a website which obviously people from all over the world will view. Mm-hmm. And I get emails from guys in America, I like your revolvers, can you sell me one? And I have to say to them, well, I'm sorry, I can't, because of end user regulations.
Right.
The alphas, we are the end user.
Right.
I can't re-export them. And I can't get permission from the Czech Republic because it's like walking in treacle.
Right.
So I built this. Can I have one of these?
It's your way of getting around it, isn't it?
No, it's a way of complying with the law.
Oh, sorry, yes, that's what I mean.
Things.
Yes, you're working within the parameters of the law, and that's what it's all about. Thank you.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. Are we going to cut that bit? Maybe not. And I think, where do you see yourself going at Westlake? Where do you see this next?
Right. Well, we get this one into full production.
Yeah. When do you think you'll have this up, running, ready to go?
I'd hope to have it running by the end of the year, but because we rely on other companies, and because we're not their biggest orders, you tend to go to the back of the line, don't you? But next year, I hope I will have the first batch done.
How many are you hoping to have out?
At the moment, I've got 5 frames,
right,
and side plates made up. Machine.
Yeah.
So that'll be the first batch of production done.
Okay.
And then, obviously, from that, we will then know the exact price. We'll know whether people are prepared to buy, and how many we make will depend on what the feeling is.
But they're buying English heritage. You can't normally put it. You talk to somebody about some of the British cars that we have, and you take a look at the prices of those things. The most important part is people go, oh, it's British, it's heritage. I will pay the money for it.
There are people that will say that, and I look upon it like this, that, I sell the Alpha, that's a Vauxhall, right? I make this, it's a Bentley.
Without a doubt, without a doubt, yeah.
So, it depends whether you want to buy a Vauxhall or a Bentley, really, doesn't it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. People are passionate about what's the Holy Grail, and they will pay good money for it, especially when they know the heritage that comes from behind it.
Well, one would hope so, but I'm not going to.
Do you know what? There's only one way to find out, isn't there?
That's it. Do it. Yeah. So we'll make a small batch.
Yeah.
And then once that batch is up and done, we'll make a larger batch, and it'll go
Baby
on from there.
steps. Let's take this forward.
Yeah.
Alan, I think on behalf of Gunroom.tv, having the legend Alan Westlake himself here in our chairs today at the Target show, it's a pleasure meeting you, and I cannot thank you enough for spending some time, taking some time with us, and taking us
Thank
through
you, sir.
how you've got to this magical gun.
Thank you very much.
All right.